Let's be honest. Growth potential can feel like a double-edged sword. On one hand, the idea of your business growing without you is exciting. On the other, you may be thinking, how the heck am I supposed to grow now when I'm trying to wind down and I'm thinking about an exit, I'm thinking about retirement? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. If you're like many business owners I talk to, you've grown your business steadily over the years, but most of that growth is tied to your personal effort. You're tired. The idea of growth feels a little bit more like a young person's game, not something you want to sprint into before retirement. And maybe you're thinking, I don't need growth. I just need to sell. I just need to get out. But here's the truth. Buyers pay for future potential, not just your past performance. So even if you're thinking about retiring in a few years, now is still the time to focus on this driver. Last week, we kicked off our series of the 8 drivers of company value with a look at financial performance, which is really the foundational driver. Today, we're moving into another big multiplier of business value, which is growth potential. So let's talk about what growth potential is. It is one of the most powerful contributors to a company's valuation multiple, and it answers questions from a buyer's perspective. How much bigger could this business be if I bought it? Right? So again, that's how the buyer is looking at it when they're evaluating your business. How much bigger can I make this business if I buy it? So according to the Value Builder system, businesses with high growth potential can sell for significantly more, even if 2 businesses have the same historical and revenue and profit. So in other words, if we look at 2 almost identical businesses, but one has identified areas for significant growth potential, that business is going to be worth a lot more, right? So that's because buyers are betting on what's next, not, again, just what has happened. And so they're willing to pay a premium if there's opportunity for expansion. There's this common misconception that, buyers are just looking for stable, reliable businesses with consistent cash flow. Now, that is part of the equation. And I'm not saying that people aren't looking for that. But again, what really moves the needle is, what could this business become? People are looking for, how can they improve and grow on this? So if your business is running smoothly today, but it has untapped markets, or maybe there's some new service lines you could add in, or maybe right now you're transactional, but you could build in some recurring revenue models. Maybe there's underutilized digital marketing channels you haven't tapped into yet. This is all growth potential, right? And so what's even better for you, if you're not getting excited about this conversation, is that those growth levers or levers don't always require you to execute on them, right? You need to be able to identify them, have a vision and a story around them. That's what's most important for the buyer. So let me give you a hypothetical example here. We'll try to bring this to life. We'll say Sharon, who owns a consulting firm here in Canada. She's got a great business, generating around $2 million in annual revenue. And she's heavily involved in the sales and the client delivery for her business. Okay. Now, at first glance at her value builder score, we can see her growth potential score is actually pretty low. So she hasn't really identified any areas for growth. And she's really just assumed that buyers are going to look at her strong client base and her financials, and that's going to be enough for her to get top dollar for her business. But if we actually dig into a scenario like this, we could probably find some opportunities, right? So Sharon had a successful process that she could actually turn into a training product and sell that on its own. Maybe there was actually a wait list of clients for Sharon that she couldn't get to on her own, but she hadn't figured out how to bring in any junior consultants to serve them. She was only working locally because she's always worked in person, but her niche could actually work nationally, right? And if she was able to deliver her process virtually, there's no reason she couldn't go all the way across the country, maybe even outside the country. So working with someone like this to frame these as opportunities in the exit plan helps when it comes time to review a business from a buyer standpoint, because they're going to see the upside, not just risk. So again, that's a hypothetical example, but it's based on hard data from thousands of business owners who've been through the value builder process. We see how having this growth potential makes a big difference in the valuation of your business. So here's some strategies and some ways to think about how to improve your company's growth potential. So number 1, diversify your customer base geographically. So think about it. Are you just working locally right now, or even just within your profit? Is there anything stopping you from going national across all the provinces or going international? Right? So that's something In our business, we did after COVID because we were very much bricks and mortar, meet with everybody in person. COVID obviously changed that because we had to see our clients, even though we couldn't see them in person, which actually allowed us to create systems and processes around delivering everything just as well virtually as we can do it in person. And so now we have clients in many provinces across the country. Are there different products or services you can introduce? So, is there one specific adjacent service that you could introduce that maybe your clients are already asking about? And you want to be careful here because we do want to make sure you know what you're good at and you want to be the best at that and be able to sell it. But often there's these adjacent services that fit well into your process for your customer base that maybe they're already looking for and waiting to spend some money on. Is there a way that you can create some recurring or subscription-based revenue? So, are you able to package the ongoing service you provide today into a retainer model? So maybe you have lots of repeat customers. Is there a way, like how do you figure out a system or a process for them to just pay you on, say, a monthly or an annual basis, and then you still deliver that? Because that is a whole other driver, but that's going to create some additional value in your business. And have you systematized the delivery model that you're providing with your clients? So is there a way, so if we think about Sharon, is there a way Sharon can take her process, document, and systematize it so others can deliver it? So this is going to do a lot of things. One is it's going to make the business more valuable because anyone buying it doesn't need Sharon to be in the business. But aside from that, she could get started, or the future purchaser could get started in bringing in other junior consultants to start delivering the process. So now she could tap into that wait list to start increasing her revenue, right? And are there other channels that you haven't tapped into? So, maybe digital channels for marketing. Again, have you been more referral, local newspaper, things like that? Is there a way to get your marketing out to other channels where your potential customers are looking? So you don't need to execute. I come up with a lot of ideas here. The idea here isn't that you're going to execute on every one of these growth strategies, right? But you need to demonstrate to a buyer that there are these opportunities that exist and that they don't need you to make it happen. So kind of show the vision, paint the picture around the vision about how this business can grow beyond what you've already been able to do. Right. So as you prepare or think about an exit, even if it's multiple years out, actually it's better if it's multiple years out, but ask yourself, have you clearly outlined the future growth opportunities for your business? And this is where it also becomes really important to work on your business, not just in your business, which obviously you've heard that before, but it's also, for some people a lot easier said than done. But by taking time regularly to work on the business, you can start thinking about where are these growth opportunities and getting those on paper, right? And you also, when you start thinking about these growth opportunities, you want to ask yourself, am I the only one that can implement these? Or can someone else execute? Can a future buyer execute? Or can my team execute on this so that the business isn't relying on me to do it? And when you come up with these ideas, how have you packaged them into your exit strategy? So as you get closer to an actual exit or selling the business, how are you packaging these for a buyer so that they see the growth potential that's there? Because when you do that, you're not just selling a business, you are selling your vision, which might be a lot more exciting than the business you've created so far. So I hope that's helpful for you guys, again, to think it's not just the cash flow, right? And we keep coming back to this. A big part of the show is making sure you don't think that just because you have some profits that you're going to get a high multiple on your business. There's a lot more to it. And so growth potential is definitely one of those drivers where you can create some additional value in your company, even if you're just identifying the areas of future growth. All right. So that's the second driver that we've talked about in this 8-part series. The next one we're going to be talking about is the Switzerland structure. Now, that probably sounds like a fancy tax strategy, thinking Swiss bank accounts maybe, but really it's about protecting your business from being over-dependent on any one customer, employee, or supplier. So we're going to dive into that in more detail in the next episode. If you want to go deeper on this, we've got the full white paper that outlines all 8 drivers of company value. Just email us, info@retirementplanningsimplified.ca. Let us know that you're looking for the 8 drivers of company value white paper, and we'll send it over. And we'll see you in the next episode.